In a cozy, softly lit apartment filled with the scent of fresh coffee and faint notes of lavender, Emma stood in front of a full-length mirror, her fingers nervously tugging at the hem of her dress. The room was a whirlwind of activity around her, clothes scattered on the bed, a makeup kit half open on the dresser, and her phone buzzing intermittently on the bedside table. Tonight was the night she'd been dreaming about and dreading in equal measure, the high-stakes dating event called Her Heart's on the Line. Emma's breath caught as she smoothed down her dress one last time, trying to calm the flutter of nerves in her stomach. This wasn't just another blind date or casual meetup, this was a chance at genuine connection, a chance to find something real in a world that often felt like it spun too fast for hearts to keep up. The competition was fierce, with other hopefuls all vying for the attention of Jake, the charming bachelor, whose reputation for sincerity and charm had sparked waves of interest across social media. But Emma knew better than to be blinded by charm alone. Jake was a man with a past, and that past made the stakes higher than ever. "Emma, you okay in there?" came a gentle voice from the doorway. Sarah, Emma's best friend and unofficial emotional anchor, leaned against the doorframe, her arms crossed, but her eyes soft with concern. Sarah had been with Emma through every late-night pep talk, every second-guessing, and every what-if moment that led up to this night. Emma turned, managing a small smile. "I'm just nervous. What if I mess this up? What if I'm not what he's looking for?" Her voice wavered, betraying the confident front she'd tried so hard to maintain. Sarah stepped into the room, closing the door behind her. "Hey, look at me," she said firmly, reaching out to squeeze Emma's hand. "You're amazing. Jake's lucky to have you here. And besides, this isn't just about him choosing the perfect girl. It's about you being brave enough to put your heart out there. No matter what happens, that's something to be proud of." Emma nodded, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "You're right. I just have to remember why I'm doing this." Just then, her phone buzzed again. She glanced down and saw a message from the event host, *final call, get ready to make your heart count. The words sent a fresh wave of adrenaline through her veins. Across town, in a sleek, modern loft transformed into the event space, Jake paced back and forth, his hands running through his dark hair in frustration. The bachelor was the picture of calm on the surface, handsome, composed, and undeniably charming, but beneath the polished exterior, a storm brewed. Jake had been hurt before, badly. The kind of heartbreak that left scars not visible to the eye but etched deep within the soul. He glanced around the room, watching as the other contestants mingled and laughed, their excitement palpable. Yet, he felt a cautious distance growing inside him, a protective shield he wasn't sure he could lower. This event was supposed to be about finding a genuine connection, but after all he'd been through, the idea felt more like a gamble than a promise. "Jake," the host's voice cut through his thoughts, light and encouraging. "Are you ready? This is a chance to find something real. You don't have to be perfect. Just be honest." Jake nodded, forcing a smile. "I'm ready." Back in her apartment, Emma checked her reflection once more, adjusted her necklace, and grabbed her clutch. Sarah gave her a reassuring hug at the door before sending her off with a final, "Go get him." The event was held in a chic venue with soft lighting and intimate seating areas. Emma's heart pounded as she stepped inside, the hum of conversations and laughter swirling around her. She scanned the room and spotted Jake, a few feet away, talking to another contestant with easy charm. Yet when their eyes met, something unspoken passed between them, a quiet acknowledgement that this was more than just a game. As the evening began, Emma found herself drawn into conversations that tested her courage and vulnerability. When Jake spoke about his past heartbreaks, his voice held a mixture of pain and hope, revealing a man who had been cautious but not closed off. Emma listened, feeling her own fears mirrored back at her in his words. When her turn came, she shared a moment of honesty about her fears of opening up, the risk of getting hurt, and the longing for something real. Her voice trembled slightly, but the room felt warmer, more intimate, as if the walls themselves were leaning in to listen. Jake's eyes softened, and for a moment, the guarded man seemed to slip away, revealing someone willing to believe again. The tension between them was electric, a delicate dance of hope and hesitation. Yet the stakes were clear. This was more than a competition, it was a test of courage. Emma's heart was on the line, and every word, every glance, carried the weight of possibility and risk. The night stretched on with moments of laughter, shared stories, and tentative connections forming. Emma found herself daring to imagine what might be, even as the shadows of doubt lingered at the edges of her mind. As the event progressed, the other contestants watched with varying degrees of confidence and envy, each hoping to be the one who captured Jake's attention. But for Emma, the challenge was deeply personal. It wasn't about winning, it was about being brave enough to put her heart on the line, knowing that the outcome was uncertain, but the experience itself was invaluable. With the evening still young and the future unwritten, Emma took a steadying breath, ready to face whatever came next with open eyes and an open heart. The game had begun, and the stakes had never felt higher. The soft murmur of voices blended with the clinking of glasses as the "her heart's on the line" event moved into full swing. Emma found herself navigating a maze of laughter, light touches on arms, and the occasional knowing glance from other contestants. The room was a stage, and every smile or word exchanged was a move in the subtle dance of attraction and strategy. Yet beneath the surface, Emma's focus remained sharp, she was here for something more than games. Jake, standing near the center of the room, was surrounded by a cluster of admirers. His easy confidence masked the careful calculation behind his smiles. Each interaction was a balancing act, a measure of who might be genuine amidst the swirling competition. When Emma approached, their eyes locked again, and the noise around them seemed to dim, as if the world had quietly rearranged itself for their moment. "Hey, Emma," Jake greeted, his tone warm, but carrying a hint of guardedness. "Hi, Jake," she replied, heart fluttering but voice steady. "So, how's the night treating you so far?" Jake shrugged lightly, the familiar vulnerability flickering in his eyes. "Honestly, it's complicated. I want to believe in this, in finding someone real, but I've been hurt before. It makes me cautious, maybe even skeptical." Emma nodded, recognizing the honesty in his words. "I get that. Sometimes it feels like the more open you are, the more you risk losing everything." There was a pause, heavy with unspoken understanding. Then Jake's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. "Exactly. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff, hoping the ground will catch you when you jump." Emma's breath caught. "That's a terrifying feeling." "Yeah," he said softly. "But maybe, just maybe, it's worth the risk." As the conversation deepened, Emma felt a flicker of hope. Here was a man who wasn't just playing a part, he was sharing pieces of himself with the same caution and hope she carried. Around them, other contestants eyed the interaction with varying expressions, some friendly, others less so. Later, as the event host announced the start of a new round, Emma found herself paired with Jake again for a more intimate challenge, a series of questions designed to reveal not just facts, but feelings. The game was simple, but the stakes felt anything but. "All right," the host said with a teasing smile, "what's your biggest fear when it comes to love?" Emma hesitated, then answered honestly. "Being vulnerable and then being hurt. Losing myself in someone else and then finding out they don't feel the same." Jake listened intently, nodding. When it was his turn, he spoke with a quiet resolve. "My biggest fear is that I'll never be able to trust fully again. That the pain I've been through will keep me locked away forever." The room seemed to hold its breath, as their eyes met, two souls acknowledging the delicate edge they both teetered on. Emma felt the walls she'd built around her own heart begin to soften, if only slightly. But as the evening wore on, the pressure of the competition began to seep in. Emma noticed a few contestants exchanging whispered comments when she wasn't looking, their smiles tight, eyes sharp. The intensity of the event was more than just emotional, it was tactical. Every word, every gesture mattered. During a brief break, Emma overheard a hushed conversation between two other contestants. One of them spoke with a sly tone, "Did you see how close she was with Jake? She's trying too hard. It's almost desperate." The other nodded, adding, "Yeah, and that story she told about her fears. Classic move. She's playing the sympathy card." Emma's heart sank. The realization hit hard, this wasn't just about finding love, it was a battlefield where vulnerability could be weaponized, and trust was a fragile currency. Determined not to let doubt consume her, Emma sought out Sarah, who had arrived to offer moral support. They found a quiet corner, away from the buzz of the event. "I overheard some things," Emma admitted, frowning. "It feels like they are trying to sabotage me." Sarah squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Ignore the noise. You're here for the right reasons. Let your honesty shine, and don't let their games shake you." Emma nodded, grateful for the steady presence. She returned to the main room with renewed focus, ready to face whatever came next. As the night progressed, Emma and Jake shared more moments, laughs, confessions, and quiet silences that spoke volumes. Jake opened up about the heartbreak that had shaped him, recounting a relationship that ended with broken promises and lost trust. "I didn't think I'd ever want to try again," he confessed, voice low. "But meeting you, hearing your story, it's making me reconsider." Emma's heart swelled with cautious hope. "Me too," she whispered. "It's scary, but maybe that's what makes it worth it." Yet beneath the budding connection lay the ever-present risk. Emma knew that if things didn't work out, the heartbreak could be even deeper, because she'd dared to hope. The event host's voice rang out, signaling the final moments before the evening's first big decision. Contestants exchanged quick glances, the tension thickening as the moment approached. Emma's mind raced, torn between excitement and fear. She had put herself out there, shared her true self, and connected with Jake in ways she hadn't imagined possible. But the competition wasn't over, and the path ahead remained uncertain. Jake caught her eye across the room, a silent question lingering in his gaze. Emma took a deep breath, ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that in this game of hearts, every risk carried the weight of possibility. And so the night carried on, a delicate balance of hope and hesitation, as Emma and Jake navigated the fragile beginnings of something that might just be real amidst the chaos of the competition. The atmosphere inside the venue shifted as the evening wore on. The soft laughter and easy smiles began to feel heavier, weighed down by the unspoken pressures lurking beneath the surface. Emma found herself standing near the edge of the room, clutching her glass of water, nerves tightening like a coil in her chest. Across from her, Jake was speaking with another contestant, his brow furrowed in thought, and the flicker of doubt she'd noticed before seemed to deepen. The competition, once a hopeful dance, was beginning to feel like a battlefield. Emma's heart pounded as Jake finally approached her. His eyes searched hers, a mixture of hesitation and something more vulnerable flickering there. "Emma," he said quietly, "I need to be honest with you." She nodded, bracing herself. "Okay. I'm not sure if I can fully trust again." "Not yet." His voice was barely above a whisper, laden with the weight of past wounds. "I want to, I really do. But there's this wall I've built, and I don't know if I'm ready to let it down." Emma's breath caught. For a moment, the world around them seemed to pause, the hum of the party fading into silence. She wanted to reach out, to bridge the gap between them, but the uncertainty was palpable. "I understand," she said softly. "It's scary to open up when you've been hurt." Jake gave a small, grateful smile, but the tension lingered between them. It was a fragile moment, balanced on the edge of hope and fear. Just as Emma was about to respond, a sharp voice cut through the quiet. Did you hear what Jake said about you? The words came from across the room, dripping with malice. Emma turned to see one of the other contestants, Claire, smirking as she approached with a small group of allies. Emma's stomach twisted. What are you talking about? Claire's eyes gleamed with a cruel satisfaction. Oh, come on. Everyone knows Jake's not really interested in you. He said you're too intense, too needy. Honestly, it's pathetic. Laughter bubbled up from the group surrounding Claire, a chorus of whispers and snickers that seemed to echo in Emma's ears. Jake frowned, stepping forward. Claire, that's enough. But Claire wasn't finished. I'm just telling it like it is. You should be careful, Emma. This isn't just about feelings, it's a game. And if you're not careful, you'll lose. Emma's cheeks burned with a mix of embarrassment and anger. The room seemed to shrink around her, the faces blurring into a sea of judgment. Sarah appeared at her side, firm and protective. Ignore them, she said quietly. They want to get under your skin because they are scared. Emma took a shaky breath, trying to steady herself. The vulnerability she'd shared with Jake now felt exposed, weaponized against her. But instead of retreating, Emma squared her shoulders. You know what, she said, voice steady despite the turmoil inside. I'm not here to play games or to be anyone other than myself. If that's a problem for you, that's your issue, not mine. Claire's smirk faltered, replaced by a glare. We'll see how long you last. Emma met her gaze without flinching. The tension crackled in the air, a silent challenge hanging between them. Later, away from the prying eyes and whispered rumors, Emma found herself alone with Jake once more. The earlier confession about trust still hung heavily between them, complicated now by the drama that had erupted. I'm sorry you had to deal with that, Jake said, his voice gentle. They can be cruel. Emma shrugged, a faint smile touching her lips. I'm used to it. But it makes me wonder, why do people feel the need to tear others down instead of lifting them up? Jake looked thoughtful. Fear, maybe. Or maybe it's just easier to protect yourself by putting others down. Emma nodded slowly. I don't want to be like that. I want to believe in something better. For a moment, the guarded walls Jake had spoken of seemed to tremble. He reached out, brushing a stray strand of hair from Emma's face with a tenderness that belied his earlier reservations. Maybe, he said softly, we can find that something better together. But it's going to take time. Emma's heart fluttered with cautious hope. I'm willing to wait. The night wore on, and the event host called for the final moments before the first elimination round. Contestants exchanged nervous glances, the stakes suddenly more real, more urgent. Emma felt the weight of her choice, to protect her heart, or to risk it all. As the host announced the names of those moving forward, Emma's breath hitched. When her name was called, relief and excitement surged through her. She glanced at Jake, who gave a small nod, his expression unreadable but not unkind. Behind the scenes, however, the undercurrents of sabotage and mistrust continued to swirl. Emma knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, not just from the competition, but from the fears and doubts within herself and Jake. But for now, she had taken a step forward, putting her heart truly on the line. The tension that had tightened like a wire around Emma began to loosen, just a bit, as she stood face to face with Claire once more. The room still buzzed with quiet murmurs, but Emma's voice rang clear and steady. I'm not here to tear anyone down, she said, eyes locked on Claire's. I'm here to be honest about who I am. If that makes me a threat, so be it. Claire's lips pressed into a thin line, her usual smirk replaced by something less certain. For a fleeting moment, the air between them shifted, a crack in the armor of competition. Sarah, standing just behind Emma, gave a subtle nod of encouragement. See? You're stronger than their whispers, she said quietly. Emma took a deep breath, letting the words settle inside her. This was no longer just a contest, it was a test of character, of staying true when faced with doubt and deceit. Later, when the crowd had thinned and the music softened, Jake found her near the edge of the event space. His eyes held something new, a softness that hadn't been there before. "Emma," he began, voice low and sincere. "I've been watching how you handled everything tonight. Your honesty, your courage, it's not something I expected, but it's something I respect deeply." Emma smiled, a mixture of relief and hope warming her chest. "Thank you, Jake. It hasn't been easy, but I believe in being real, even when it's hard." He nodded, stepping a bit closer. "I've been scared to open up, to trust again. But seeing you stand your ground, it makes me want to try." For a moment, the noise of the event faded away, leaving just the two of them in a bubble of quiet understanding. "I'm scared too," Emma admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But maybe that's what makes this worth it." Jake reached out, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear with a tenderness that spoke louder than words. "Maybe we don't have to face the fear alone." As the evening wore on, they found themselves sharing stories beyond the surface, their hopes, their regrets, the moments that had shaped them. Emma spoke of her past relationships, the fear of losing herself in someone else, and the courage it took to keep trying. Jake opened up about the heartbreak that had left him guarded, the moments when he doubted love was possible. Their conversations were punctuated by laughter and quiet pauses, a rhythm that felt both fragile and promising. Meanwhile, the other contestants watched from a distance, some with envy, others with reluctant admiration. The game was changing. What had started as a competition was evolving into something more complex, more real. But beneath the budding connection lay the ever-present undercurrent of uncertainty. Emma knew that the path forward wouldn't be easy. The scars they both carried couldn't be erased overnight, and the competition still loomed large. Yet, in that moment, surrounded by the soft glow of the venue and the murmur of fading conversations, Emma felt a glimmer of something precious, hope. As the host announced the next phase of the event, Emma and Jake exchanged a glance filled with unspoken promises. They were stepping into the unknown together, hearts cautiously open, ready to face whatever came next. The night was far from over, but for the first time, Emma felt that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't alone in putting her heart on the line. The room had quieted, the hum of conversations dimming as the final moments of the event approached. Emma stood near the center, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and hope. Around her, the remaining contestants exchanged glances, nerves taut beneath practiced smiles. Jake's eyes found hers across the room, steady and sincere, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. The host stepped forward, microphone in hand, voice warm, but carrying the weight of the moment. "Tonight, we witnessed courage, honesty, and the willingness to put your heart on the line. Jake has made his choice." Emma's breath hitched as the host continued. "Jake has decided to pursue a genuine connection with Emma. He values honesty, openness, and the bravery it takes to be vulnerable." A ripple of surprise and murmurs swept through the room, but Emma's focus was fixed on Jake, whose smile was soft, genuine, free of pretense. He stepped forward, closing the distance between them, his gaze unwavering. "Emma," he said quietly, "this isn't about winning or losing. It's about being real, and you've shown me that. I want to see where this can go, even if it means risking the unknown." Emma's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, a mixture of relief and joy. "I'm willing to take that risk, Jake. Because sometimes, the only way to find something true is to be brave enough to put your heart on the line." Sarah appeared beside her, smiling proudly, her presence a steady reminder of the journey that had brought Emma here. As the crowd began to disperse, Emma and Jake found a quiet corner, away from the lingering eyes and whispers. They talked about fears, hopes, and the fragile beauty of new beginnings. Neither promised forever, but both acknowledged the courage it took to start. Emma's heart swelled with the realization that love wasn't about certainty, it was about courage, vulnerability, and the willingness to face whatever came next, together. The night ended not with grand declarations, but with a quiet understanding that sometimes, putting your heart on the line is the bravest thing you can do, and the only way to truly find yourself in another. As they stepped out into the cool night air, hand in hand, the future remained uncertain, but the promise of possibility shone brightly, a beacon guiding them forward into whatever lay ahead. If you loved the story, like the video and subscribe.